Good morning, everybody. Lee Brower here, and welcome to this week's edition of Meaningful Monday. Here, and I am glad to be here. Are we going through some trying times or what? You know, what's the difference between disagreeing and being disagreeable? I think we have way too many people being disagreeable, and I'm not so sure where it's coming from, but I believe that it's coming from the press and from our politicians and other leaders, people that we follow. And that's a concern. That is a real concern and a surprise. You know, as business leaders, we make mistakes. When was the last time you made a mistake? Probably yesterday, or maybe today. That's what we do. Human beings are the only species on the earth that can make mistakes. And when we make mistakes, we learn. So it would be wonderful, wouldn't it, to be able to hear a politician stand up and say, you know what? We took all the facts that we had, we talked to experts, we made a decision, we got in motion. And just like always, when you're in motion, that's when the learning happens. And as we learn, sure, we could say, if we'd have known this, we would have done it differently. Instead, what we're having is we're having people point fingers and saying, look how you did it wrong, look how you did it wrong. Nobody's willing to step up and take responsibility. We're looking outwards. And the terrible thing is that's contagious. And we start to do it as citizenry. We start to do it ourselves, where we start laying blame on everything that's going around us, and we lose our vision of the future. The thing that's missing from leadership right now is that vision of a bigger future. They're so caught in the moment that they can't see that bigger future that gives them the ability to respond and be helpful as we go through this. And the press just jumps all over it. They want to attack your amygdala. Despair, this is a quote by George Monbiot from a TED Talks that he gave. He said, despair is the state we fall into when our imagination fails. When we have no story that explains the present and describes the future, hope evaporates. When we have no story that explains the present and describes the future, hope evaporates. Political failure at heart is the absence of imagination. I want to talk to you a moment about this time that we're in right now. We're facing two crises. The pandemic and the protests happening across the United States. And you know, it feels like this country is being pulled apart at the seams. It just feels like we're being stretched. But could this actually be a turning point? Could this be an awakening for us? Perhaps, depending on us individually, depending on us. You know, we have been thrown into disorder, but also this is this place where we can come together. And I think it's something that's been common for Americans and people around the world. We've done this before, but we need desperately a new narrative. You know, a harmonious land is a land without injustice. It's a land in which all people are equal and have equal rights. It's a land in which we live within natural limits so that we don't destroy our own livelihoods and the prospects of a future. And we need to start to rebuild. We get to rebuild. We don't need to. We get to rebuild. We get to restore through building a community. Nesbitt said, clear back in late 1980s, John Nesbitt in his book, Megatrends, said, you know, the one thing that's going to drive people more in the 21st century than anything else, the one emotion, is that sense of belonging. And more than ever, don't we see it now? We all feel a strong need to belong to something. And if we don't feel we belong to something, we desperately search around to find something where we feel we can fit in and be recognized and known and be able to express ourselves. And there's really two types of belonging. Psychiatrists call one bonding networks, and they call the other one bridging networks. Bonding networks is where you say, I belong to people who are like me, who look like me, who talk like me, and everybody else is an alien and threatening. And you know what? That type of bonding or that type of belonging can be very toxic. Then there's bridging networks. This is where you create belonging by creating shared interests with people who might be very different than ourselves, very different backgrounds. They don't look like you. They don't talk like you. But where you say, you know what? We've got something in common. We both love our country. We love our neighborhoods. We love our communities. And we want to build those communities. We want to build bridging networks, bringing together different communities to work for the things that we really want and value, for justice side by side. That's the exact type of restoration we need with a common vision. You know, maybe it's not what we go through. Maybe it's how we come through. We are seeing ourselves and others differently. We're learning new ways to live, aren't we? We're learning new ways to be. All of us have been affected. Everyone has felt a change. But maybe, just maybe, the biggest change can be within ourselves. Just maybe we can be more resourceful. Just maybe we can even become more compassionate, more united in some ways. Just maybe we have gained more than we have lost. Let's build bridges together. Have a meaningful week. I look forward to talking to you next week. Bye-bye.